So I don't know how close you're following this or not, but every EV stock for cars in America is down in Q1 of 2024. And a lot of people are sitting there talking about this company called BYD that originally started in China as a battery manufacturing company and now an automaker designing cars. 3 million last year, where the average EV car in America is around $55,000. They have an EV you can buy for $10,000 that goes 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. And America's sitting there saying, holy shit, what happens if these guys come to America? It's so scary that for the longest time, U.S. had a tariff on any car that's coming in from any country, around 2.5% EV cars. Imports coming in, 2.5% tariff. It's a $10,000 car, you pay $250. No one cares. Trump raised it to 25%, which $10,000, they need to pay $2,500, but Biden just announced they're raising it to 100%.
The future of electric vehicles will be made in America.
Which means $10,000 is $10,000, and BYD is sitting there saying, well, you know, why are you guys so worried about it? The CEO of BYD said, America's kind of being a little bit overly sensitive. We're not doing anything. If America wants to be ready for us to come in, we'll come, but we don't think America's ready. They're destroying the auto market in China, and Elon Musk goes to China. Is being interviewed. He's meeting with some interesting political figures, and here's what he says. Chinese car companies were the most competitive and will have significant success outside of China depending on what kind of tariffs or trade barriers are established, Elon Musk said on an earnings call earlier this year in January. And he said if there are no trade barriers established, they will pretty much demolish most other car companies in the world. They're extremely good. And by the way, this isn't just Elon Musk. Here's what the CEO of Stellantis said. Carlos Tavares said, he calls it the Chinese offensive. Companies that can't match China's low-cost electric vehicles are going to be an existential problem. And now some people are saying, well, they're worried about the cars from China coming in because of national security, EV technology. They can track where you're going. Do we want China to have access to this? When two influencers like this in the auto mix, specifically for EV, this is a real issue. So if you give value to this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Take a look at this year for EV stock performance for 2024, okay? So this is from January 1st to March 28th. That's the one that we have. Every stock is down. It doesn't matter if it's Tesla, VinFast, Polestar, Lucid, XPeng, NIO, Rivian, even Fisker. Look at Fisker. They're down 98.7%. Fisker is down. When we talk about these numbers, look at the stocks here. Here's Rivian. Look at their stock. From 150, they're down all time. Look at the percentage. They're down 91.93%. Next one is NIO. Look at NIO all the way at the bottom. You got XPeng is down 63.36%. You got Lucid down 71%. You got Polestar down 86%. You got VinFast down 65%. So one may ask, I mean, why can China build it for such a lower price than we can? I mean, if you look at this, Tesla retakes the global EV crown. If you look at this, on this chart, you see BYD versus Tesla, right? And, you know, Tesla's still at the top. However, look at the BYD cars and how much different they are price-wise. The bottom one, the BYD Seagull, is $9,700. You got the BYD One Plus is $16,600, but the Tesla Model 3 is $34,000 and the Tesla Model Y is $37,000. Assuming lowest price to lowest price, how can they do it for so cheap? Well, here's one of the reasons. When you think about building an actual EV, okay, versus a combustion vehicle, EVs can have up to 6 times more mineral than a combustion vehicle, making them on average 340 kilograms heavier. So when we say minerals, what minerals are we talking about? This chart right here explains what it takes to build a combustion car versus an EV car. So if you look at this, electrical vehicles versus gas cars. Black are gas cars, green are electric vehicles. So at the bottom, you need 66.3 kilogram of graphite. Great. Copper, you need 53.2 kilogram of copper versus only 22.3 if it's a gas vehicle. Nickel, you need 39.9 kilograms of nickel. You don't need it for gas. You need manganese, 24.5. Combustion, you only need 11.2. For EV, you need cobalt. You need lithium, you need zinc, you need other things to put in the car that's not for necessarily gas cars. So then the natural question I'm asking, maybe you're asking, is who has access to these minerals more, us or China? So according to a study done by Brookings Institution, China presently produces some 60% of the world's rare earth elements and processes 85% of them. And even if you look at this chart here from Statista, red is China. Global mine production of rare earths, China, majority. Then it's US, Myanmar, Australia, Thailand, and India. So then the question may be, well, China's probably had the lead on EVs for a long time, right? I mean, they've been dominating everybody for a while. If you look at this chart, that's not what this tells us. This tells us the orange is China, the blue is Europe, the green is US, and the dark green is other, right? Go to 2020. In 2020, China was being beaten by Europe. Europe was selling more EVs than China was. And then look at 2021, they took the lead. 2022, they doubled. 2023, look at China's lead in 2023 when it comes down to EVs. I could say just based on this chart, they are 6 times US and 2.5 times Europe. And by the way, what I just showed you is going to be validated by this next chart, but this next chart's going to, it's a jaw-dropping type of a chart. Ready? On here, they talk about China's cars are heading mostly to new drivers in emerging markets. This is exports of passenger cars, and it's going all the way down to 2010. Look at China, all the way in the bottom is the red. Then it's US, then it's South Korea, then it's Japan, then it's Germany. So Germany and Japan have the lead by a mile. In China, no one's paying attention. 2020, they pass up US, then they pass up South Korea, then they pass up Germany, and then they just passed up Japan. Look at what this shows us about what China's doing in the new driver market. And this is not even EV, by the way. This is new drivers. Now, if you're watching the same Pat, you showed me the stock on how they're performing with all the EVs in US. Can we see how BYD is doing year to date? Yeah, BYD is down 0.5% for the year compared to 80, 60, 50, 28, 30%. Big difference. Now, some of the analysts in US will say things like, well, you know, the problem with China is the fact that they have an overproduction problem. They're producing way too many of these EVs, and that's why they're going to need to rely on selling to US or selling to Europe and all this stuff. The CEO of BYD is like, yeah, you know, if US wants our business, great. If they don't, that's okay. We don't have to go, but they have to change some things that they want to do. They haven't sold in a country with 1.5 billion people. They've only sold 3 million, right? And by the way, in China, there's a total of 523 million drivers. That's more than Americans living in America. 523 million drivers. You know how many total EVs there are in production in China, like industries? 20.4 million. You know how much more room they got to keep selling EVs to themselves? A lot. Now, here's a problem for China. If EU and US have 100% tariff on cars that they're selling to them, now China's got a problem on what they're going to be doing. And what if that 100 goes to 200%? Who knows? And by the way, Elon Musk talking about the fact that, you know, they got a really good car and, you know, if these guys, you know, they will have significant success outside of China, depending, ready what Elon said, on what kind of tariffs or trade barriers are established. Trump goes from 2.5% to 25%. Biden goes to 100%. What do you think Trump's going to do if he wins? I don't know. But it may be higher than 100% to get this thing to kind of even out. So obviously, when you look at this and you think about, well, how does China have such a big edge over all of us? You know, one, their government started investing into this maybe earlier, EV. 2, their labor is cheaper. 3, they have the minerals there. I mean, how are you going to compete with them if they're like the Middle East, Saudi? How are you going to compete with Saudi if they have oil? How are you going to compete with Venezuela if that's their natural resources? You can't. They have it. You got to either buy it from them or go and find it elsewhere around the world. But that's kind of also what China's doing anyways in some parts of the world like Africa where they fight some of these minerals knowing we're going to need this long term. So let's go ahead and have it as well. So in a situation like this, there's a couple things you got to think about. China, if they really want to play bully, the way they'll play bully and say, hey, you want to put this tariff on us? No problem. Did you know 80% of all your antibiotics in US come from us? We make it for you. So how many sick people you got? What if we kind of make that tough on you? Do you want to play that game? We could. So, well, the US may say, well, really, you rely on us on XYZ. So this is who needs who type of negotiation. This is not going to be going away. The EV war is not going away. The battery war is not going to go away. The mineral war is not going to be going away. And the tariff war is not going to be going away. It's going to be very interesting to see how Biden handles this, especially if it goes and changes administration or if it stays the same. But this war is just barely getting started. Think about it. 523 million drivers and only 21 million EVs in China. China hasn't even started yet. So if you got value out of this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. And if you've never seen what China is doing to try to avoid having to pay the tariffs by building something in Mexico, a plant called company Hafusan, if you've never seen this clip, click here to watch it. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.